Northern Canada's Coronation Gulf. From the central Arctic hub of Cambridge Bay to rugged islands and remote coast, lining the community of Kugluktuk, searching for Arctic gold.
It's an area that geologists are drawn to make discoveries.
A pristine river that has been a lifeblood for generations.
My grandparents used it, and I'm still using it today.
And recording climate change through rare Arctic plant life.
Climate change is having a big impact in Kugluktuk.
Now, we reveal the secrets of Canada's northern boundary. More than 160,000 kilometers of Arctic frontier. Canada, over the edge. In the heart of Canada's central Arctic region, remote Victoria Island lies 1,000 kilometers north of the province of Saskatchewan. And here, on the island's southeastern coast, Cambridge Bay marks the regional hub. The community is located just above the 69th parallel, more than 250 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle. Cambridge Bay is located in the heart of Canada's Nunavut territory. More than 80% of residents here are Inuit, originating from the southern and eastern regions of Victoria Island. Cambridge Bay is known locally as Iqaluit. It is home to more than 1,400 people, the largest community in Nunavut's Kitikmeot region. It is a central Arctic crossroads with hospitals, schools, and a regional airport. It is also home to a distant early warning station, or DEW station, constructed in 1958. It remains in operation, a key component of the joint US-Canada North Warning System. And while Cambridge Bay may look small to outsiders, it is growing. Throughout the community, construction is happening everywhere. From new hamlet offices and an Arctic College campus to state-of-the-art scientific and cultural facilities.
My name is Norm Lozon. I'm the project manager for Ellis Dawn on the Canadian High Arctic Research Station project. We're in Cambridge Bay.
The CHARS or Canadian High Arctic Research Station will make Cambridge Bay a scientific hub of the North, dedicated to advancing Canada's role in polar science and technology.
So the site might not look like much for now. To the left, roughly where that bulldozer is working right now, that's going to be the location of what is called the main research building.
Construction for CHARS is expected to take 3 years.
So these are the drawings of the project. This is the main showcase of the project, what they're calling the main research building. The main spine of the building, which is all structural steel. And this is a peripheral section that is made of wood. So that'll be all glulam, wood, engineered wood construction here. And so it'll be quite the little building. Maybe what you're looking for here. That's the field maintenance building here. That's the main research building here. And these 2 housing units in the back.
Lozon says construction is currently on schedule. But with Arctic summer almost over, keeping pace is crucial.
I think the main difference with respect to doing construction in the south is that you always need to remember winter's always on its way. Any exterior work becomes extremely painful and difficult to do after, depending on where you are in the Arctic, after late October it becomes very challenging. So you always want to prioritize the exterior work that you have to do to be done in the warmer summer months. The second challenge, I would say, is all the logistics that surround doing construction in the Arctic. There's no highways, there's no roads, you can't just drive materials up. Everything has to come by sea lift or barge, which adds another layer of complexity to doing construction in the Arctic.
For Norm Lozon, the CHARS project presents a rare opportunity, a unique workplace to experience the growth and progress of Canada's North.
What makes this project unique for us is the fact that it's probably the largest project that's ever been done in this region of Nunavut. And we're just very honored to be part of a flagship project like CHARS.
And while CHARS is looking to Northern Canada's future, other projects are working to preserve the past. Cambridge Bay's Old Town is located on the east side of the bay. The original Inuit settlement site, dating back to the 1940s. In more recent years, the community moved west. Now, one of the Old Town's last remaining landmarks is a stone church built more than 60 years ago. But the historic structure has been without a roof for nearly a decade.
My name is Pat Edwards. I'm a construction supervisor for the restoration of the stone church here in Cambridge Bay in Nunavut. From what I can understand, now there was a fire that had occurred here approximately 10 years ago. I'm not sure of the exact date. And the roof had collapsed in on top of the building. And I guess the stonework and everything else has been deteriorating a little bit every year due to the inclement weather.
Patrick Edwards is originally from Newfoundland, but has called Cambridge Bay home for years.
Well, actually, this is quite a unique and extraordinary structure to be the roof out of it for, I'm figuring 10 years. I'm kind of surprised that the walls were left in such good shape as what they were. There was quite a bit of work to restore them, but To get them back to where they were to, it took 3 weeks of hard labor for a couple of guys, and so we're well underway.
Restoration began just weeks ago. But like the CHARS project, Edwards and his team have a short window until winter arrives.
Today, our biggest goal is to fill in the cavity between the two stone walls. It is a two-tier stone wall with a cavity in between so that we can mount our sill plates and make it secure for our roof. Our goal here is to have the complete roof system on and make the building secure so that there won't be no future damages to the building.
And weeks later, from the air, it is clear Edwards and team are close to accomplishing their goal.
Well, I think it's special because where the community was over here at first, and where people have landed here, there's a lot of roots to this side of the bay, and there's people that have, just came into a community for the first time in their lives, and the first thing that they've seen was this stone church.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required.
Heading southwest from Cambridge Bay and Victoria Island, we soar high above the open waters of Dease Strait. This Arctic waterway is roughly 30 kilometers wide, with Queen Maud Gulf to the east and Coronation Gulf to the west. Dease Strait is covered in solid ice for 9 months a year. Separating Victoria Island from the Kent Peninsula, where the Arctic archipelago meets the North American mainland. The Kent Peninsula is a vast open expanse with Arctic tundra stretching as far as the eye can see. It is 169 kilometers long, part of the North American mainland, connected by a narrow 8-kilometer isthmus to the southeast. The peninsula was first explored by Europeans in 1821 on Sir John Franklin's first voyage into the region. It has been a landmark for explorers and adventurers ever since. And to the south, the landscape begins to rise as Arctic tundra meets low, rocky hills. Further, on the southern end of the Kent Peninsula, we reach Elu Inlet. It too boasts an incredible landscape. Bordered by Melville Sound to the west and Mount Elu and the Atibiak River to the east. Offshore, scenic islands dot the inlet. Back on land, the hills continue to rise as tundra is quickly replaced by solid rock. And it's that rock that has been drawing humans to this remote region for decades. Prospectors have been trying to harvest precious metals from the area surrounding Hope Bay since the 1960s. Some have even succeeded. Now, a new group believes there are more riches to be found.
So far here at Hope Bay, there's 3 gold deposits that have been discovered. Here in the northern part of the belt at Doris, we have the Doris deposit. And just around 10 kilometers south of us here is the Madrid deposit. And around 35 kilometers further south from Madrid is another gold deposit that is known as Boston deposit.
TMAC Resources and team have been on this site for just a few months. They are still preparing for full operations. For now, the mine is in care and maintenance mode. But all around, remnants from past explorations can be seen, including a passageway for future attempts underground.
Where we're at right now is the portal to the Doris North Underground. So this provides access to the underground workings of the Doris North mine. So this is the entrance to a decline that goes currently 3,300 meters horizontally under the ground and around 120 meters vertically.
Alex Buchan says there are many reasons to be optimistic at Hope Bay, including its unique geological position, located in an area known as a greenstone belt.
A greenstone belt is called a greenstone belt because typically the rocks found in them are a dark green color, and these occur in various parts of Canada and in a lot of places in the rest of the country, around the world. When you find this type of rock, it is known to host or contain gold and base metals, and so it's an area that geologists are drawn to make discoveries. So here's the host material here. As you can see, as I wet it up, it's actually a light green material. So that is your typical greenstone rock.
And while actual mineral extraction is in limbo, TMAC's team continues to survey the area, mapping and exploring the site for when operations begin.
What you see here is a heli-portable diamond drill rig. And what it does is it drills around a 3-inch hole into solid rock and removes the middle or center core of that rock and brings it up to surface so that it can be analyzed so you can determine whether or not that rock contains any metals or minerals of interest. It's a very important part of the exploration process.
And inside the core shack, these samples are cleaned, logged, and measured for the quantity of gold they contain.
We're in the Doris core shack. Rock core is taken from a drill site. It's brought in here, and it is logged and it is measured and organized so that the quantity of gold that can be found underground can be analyzed. After that point, it's taken over to the other side of this building, and half of it is cut. Half of the core stays here, and the other half is sent to an assay lab, which is treated and analyzed chemically to find out how much gold is in it.
Alex Buchan is from this region. He says as the mine prepares for full operations, the outlook is positive. Some have suggested Hope Bay could hold at least 10 million ounces of gold, an amount worth billions of dollars.
In other parts of Canada, in the Timmins, Val-d'Or region of Canada, where there's another greenstone belt, they've been mining for gold over 110 years. 170 million ounces of gold has been produced out of that greenstone belt. And so the potential for us exploring and here at Hope Bay is that we can see that history of development over the course of the decades to come. I do believe that there's a great deal of excitement in our region to see this project move forward. If we do go into production, when we do, there'll be hundreds of jobs created and residents of this region will have the opportunity to apply for work. Everyone is wanting to see this move forward.
Heading west from the mine at Hope Bay, we trace the rocky terrain just south of Melville Sound. Here, the contours of the Naujat Hills and the Buchan Hills stretch for kilometers. And they lead to one of the region's most pristine waterways, Bathurst Inlet. Bathurst Inlet is a southern extension of Coronation Gulf, extending roughly 100 kilometers inland. The waterway is also home to the communities of Bathurst Inlet and Umingmuktok, home to the Inuit for thousands of years. The region was later settled by Europeans with the arrival of the Hudson's Bay Company and the Roman Catholic Church in the 1930s. Far below, the Chapman Islands line the horizon. They are uninhabited, scenic wonders. Located halfway between the 67th and 68th parallel. In total, the islands measure 211 square kilometers, a secluded gem of the Arctic archipelago. "20 kilometers further west, we return to the mainland on approach to Cape Barrow. Cape Barrow is a rocky point of land featuring granite cliff faces and tiny streams. It is recorded as being called Hananek by local Inuit. Later, it was given the name Cape Barrow by Sir John Franklin during an 1821 expedition. Cape Barrow, like the Barrow Strait to the north and Barrow, Alaska to the west, was named in honor of Sir John Barrow, an English statesman and strong supporter of Arctic exploration. Beyond Cape Barrow, our trajectory changes as we reach the boundary of Bathurst Inlet and continue west. And in the distance, the landscape changes. The Jameson Islands are known as a geological enigma. Their sediments are unique to the area. Massive basalt cliffs, topped with siltstones and sandstones. The Jameson Islands stretch 30 kilometers end to end, rising hundreds of meters high. Finally, to the southwest, Hepburn Island marks a new waterway. As we approach mainland North America and Canada's Arctic coast. Heading east along the northern extremity of the North American mainland, the contours of Coronation Gulf stretch more than 150 kilometers. Like many landmarks in the region, Coronation Gulf was named by Sir John Franklin in honor of the coronation of King George IV. The Gulf is roughly 60 kilometers wide, separating the mainland Arctic coast from Victoria Island to the north. And here, 20 kilometers east of the community of Kugluktuk, we begin to see signs of human civilization. All along this shoreline, makeshift shelters can be seen. They are camps used seasonally by local Inuit from Kugluktuk, hunting caribou and other animals, stocking up for winter. Further, with the community of Kugluktuk in the distance, we reach a local landmark. This is the Coppermine River, one of 3 major rivers feeding Coronation Gulf. And today, as summer edges into autumn, the river and its banks are pristine, with vivid colors all around. "10 kilometers inland, the contours of the Coppermine lead to a key protected area in the region. It is Kugluk Territorial Park.
Hello, my name is Alan Niptanatyak. I'm a hunter and trapper and a fisherman, and we're in Kugluk Territorial Park.
Kugluk Territorial Park lines the banks of the Coppermine River. For years, the park has been known to visitors by a different name, Bloody Falls Territorial Park. It was named a National Historic Site in 1978.
The reason it got named Bloody Falls was from the 1700s when Samuel Hearne came downriver with the Chippewas, and they massacred a whole bunch of Inuit, except one old lady. So that's why it's called Bloody Falls. But to us, we call it the Kugluk area.
But for residents like Alan Niptanatyak, the Bloody Falls story is old history. He says today's residents see Kugluk Territorial Park as a valuable resource that they've relied on for generations.
The schooners and that used to all come up the river into this area and fish, and they'd get loads of fish and take back with them to their other camps. That was before Coppermine or Kugluk was ever a settled area. But before that, the people always came here. Our ancestors were always moving around with the game. When the caribou came in the summer, they hunted them. Then when the caribou moved away, they moved to fish.
And today, Alan Niptanatyak continues that tradition. Throughout fishing season, his gill nets can be found spread across the river in search of Arctic char.
Just grabbing the float that anchored to the net. So I can check the net for any fish. And you pull it up and look through it so you can see the fish. Got to untangle it from the net. Got to get it untangled and through the gill net. Another one. Today it's a lot easier with the net. You just put it in the water, leave it overnight, and come back next morning and check it. So we have another fish. Oh, another one too. There's a nice live one. Bonk it on the head and make sure it's dead so it don't squirm all over and jump around. Oh, there's another one. That's nice. Nice fresh fish. That way we catch all the nice bigger fish and save all the smaller ones for to grow. And we're done. We'll go to the shore and cut the fish up. Wash your hands and say thank you.
On shore, Niptinatiak has his fishing operation down to a science. Gutting, cleaning, and finally hanging the fish to dry.
Gonna cut the fish up to make it into dry fish. So I use a nice stiff knife. I'm not used to a fillet knife. So I'll try to get all the meat without getting all the bone. And we'll just continue cutting them. Good to have a very sharp knife. And then that goes for the dogs. After I cut the fillet off the fish, I'll cut slits into the flesh to make it thinner so that it dries quicker, because you don't want it to sit too thick and then get really soft and soggy. So you do one side, do the other side, and all the way down. Then once I'm done with this, I'll put it in the water, wash it up. The reason we wash the fish is to get all the blood and the slime off of it, so that, because we eat the skin as well. When it's dry, it's like a chewy gum. Wash the skin side first, get all the slime off it. Then where the water's moving, again, so you can see it becomes nice and clean and shiny, and the flesh all hangs down so air dries really well. Then I hang it up with the skin facing on the outside. And what that does, we usually hang them with the skin out so the skin dries nice and it becomes a nice texture. Then within probably an hour or two, we'll come back and flip them.
After drying the fish skin side out, Niptinatiak flips it, completing the process.
So after a couple hours of the fish sitting in the air and drying, all the water is off, we turn them inside out so that all the flesh is exposed. And what that does is dry the flesh. See, these ones here are still wet, so they're slipping. Usually we use a piece of wood. I forgot the wooden paddle, so but that gets air into all these little slits and makes it dry really nice and fast. In a couple of days, we'll be eating that.
Alan Niptinatiak lives on the banks of the Coppermine River. And while he enjoys a home and the comforts of modern life, he knows he is practicing traditions that date back generations.
The park to me is historical just because my family used it, my grandparents used it, and I'm still using it today, and it's sort of my lifeblood. And also, it's our drinking water. All the water you have in town comes from this river. So we always try to make sure it is kept clean and clear so that animals and everybody else can have water.
High above the contours of the Coppermine River, a blaze of incredible fall colors stretches as far as the eye can see. But locals recommend enjoying it while it lasts. It is now the end of August, and snow could fall any day. Back to the coast, and just west of the Coppermine River, we reach the community of Kugluktuk and the shores of Coronation Gulf. Formerly known as Coppermine, Kugluktuk is the second largest community in the Kitikmeot region. It is home to 1,400 people, just slightly smaller than Cambridge Bay. The community is surrounded by rolling hills and by Arctic standards, lush vegetation. Kugluktuk even claims to be home to North America's northernmost golf course. But the golf season here may soon be expanding. Locals say signs of climate change are all around. Scientists have taken notice too. Kugluktuk's mix of harsh Arctic winters and summer plant life make the community an excellent base for climate change research. Today, researchers from the South are collaborating with the youth of Kugluktuk, studying plant life, part of a project that will encompass much of northern Canada. The team says it is an ideal setup for researchers and the community, with young people gaining valuable research experience.
My name is Sarah Desrosiers. I'm a Master's of Science student at the University of British Columbia, and we're in Kugluktuk, Nunavut. So we know climate change is having a big impact in Kugluktuk, whether it being sea ice melting, sea levels rising, river levels and lake levels lowering, which has a huge impact on plants as well. So different plants are growing, willows are growing out of control, which has an effect on berry productivity, which has an impact on caribou migration, little lemmings. It's all connected. So what we're doing is we've been working with the high school, taking youth out on the land to our various monitoring plots to harvest berries. We weigh them and count the productivity levels every year to keep track of what's going on. So we end up taking about 20 students in grades 10 to 12 out to our monitoring plots, and we get to train them in scientific monitoring. So they learn how to set up a plot, how to harvest different samples, basic experimental design, which in the future will help them land jobs in the environmental sector, whether it be mining, consulting, working for the government. What are you at? All right, 2 more meters.
The project in Kugluktuk is part of a long-term study. How these berries change over time will give researchers an insight on the effects of climate change in the north.
So we're gonna head out to one of our plots. They're 20 meters by 20 meters, and what we're doing is randomly sampling the land. So once we have our coordinates, we're gonna set out our, we're gonna make our plot. So it's gonna be a 20 meter by 20 meter quadrat. Tent peg in, and then run our 20 meters up, tent peg again, and so on until we have our square. From there, we're gonna start sampling. Usually we take about 50 samples, random samples, using 25 centimeter by 25 centimeter quadrats.
And as Desrosiers and her team work on the shores of Kugluktuk, they are not alone. Today's project is part of a larger network, with 4 universities conducting similar studies throughout the north.
So we've done collecting for the day from our plot here, our long-term monitoring plot. What we're gonna do is head back to the school where they have a lab, and we'll be measuring, weighing essentially the berries and counting and entering it into our long-term database. We'll be coming back here next year and years to follow, where we'll get a bigger picture of what the berries are doing in terms of productivity.
For Desrosiers, the chance to work in Kugluktuk has been an opportunity she never expected to have, and one she knows she will never forget.
For me, it feels like a second home. I've been coming up here for 4 years. I actually started in my undergrad working on this program, so I've been able to build relationships. So I love the land, going out on the land, camping, fishing, picking berries, hunting, but I also really like the community and working with people here. Picking berries is a huge thing for a lot of women in the area, so it's nice to make that connection with them out on the land.
From the pristine waters of Victoria Island and the Kent Peninsula, to the stunning Chapman Islands and rock formations of Cape Barrow, to the protected cultural waters of Kugluk Territorial Park. Coronation Gulf is where the Arctic archipelago meets mainland North America. These waters are a northern gem. Remote shorelines holding centuries of secrets. Tiny outposts with stories of riches and tragedy. And bustling communities digging deep to protect the future. Here, on the edge of Canada.